everyone, welcome to another Procreate tutorial. This is the drawing that we will be completing in today's video. This strawberry basket, really fun, lots of just fun colors and lots of fun to build. I will walk you through it step by step. You'll get an awesome result and hopefully have a lot of fun along the way. So if you are new here, I mainly post Procreate tutorials, so if that's something you're interested in, go ahead and subscribe. I also offer extra tutorials over on Patreon, so that's linked in the description below if you want to check that out. If you join there, you get access to exclusive tutorials every month, along with sneak peeks of what we're drawing over here on YouTube. And if you join now, you get access to all the exclusive tutorials that I've posted thus far, about 2 years worth. So lots of stuff to check out there if you would like to. Again, that's linked in the description below. But before we get started on today's drawing, the only thing that you'll need to do is download the color palette. I have it linked in the description below. It's totally free to download. Just save the file to your iPad and then double tap it or click on it and click open in Procreate so that you can use the same colors as you follow along with the video today. Otherwise, there's nothing else to download. I will post the canvas dimensions, color profile, and layers needed on the screen here and in the description below so that you can use those to set up your canvas. So take a minute to get everything ready and then come back and we will get started. Okay, this is the color palette that we'll be working with, so we're just going to go ahead and get started. We have all of our background colors on the top here, all of our basket colors in the middle, and then all of our strawberry colors on the bottom. So we'll just work our way through those. Okay, and we're just going to leave our background color white to start until we draw our basket and stuff so that doesn't interfere with the way the camera is picking up my lines and stuff. So we're going to leave it white for now while we draw everything, and then we'll change it at the end. But to get our basket going, we're first going to turn on Symmetry to help us. So under the gear icon, under Canvas, click to turn on the drawing guide, click Edit Drawing Guide, and switch it to Symmetry. You should see a vertical line here. If you don't, just click Vertical under Options here, and then go ahead and click Done. Then we're just going to go back to our layer menu, make sure that this layer that we're on says Assisted. It should. If it doesn't, just click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. So it says Assisted there. We're going to grab our first color on the second row to start and our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. So find that. My opacity for the brush over here is at 100. My size is at 30. And we're just going to start by drawing the bottom part of our basket. So I'm going to go up on my symmetry line a little ways from the bottom, maybe like a quarter of the way up the canvas, right about here. I'm going to start right on the symmetry line and I'm going to draw a line outwards like this. Hold it down until it turns nice and straight. And then touch your finger on the screen and it'll set it to these angles. So the angle that we want to pick is the one right above horizontal. So this is horizontal. I'm going to go up 1, snap it there, not out quite so far, maybe about halfway between my symmetry line and the edge of my canvas there. So let that go. If you want to adjust it at all, you can. You can click this line button at the top, but the thing is we don't want to change the angle, so don't touch any of the blue dots. The only thing that we might want to change is like how they come together in the center. So if you just drag outside of it, it'll drag the line around, so you can drag it to where they meet nicely in the center, but then that doesn't change our angle at all. Okay, then we're going to start on the edge here of our line, and we're going to go up. Hold that down until it turns nice and straight. And then we actually want to go almost perfectly vertical, but not quite. So if we hold our line down, if we touch our finger to the screen and this is perfectly vertical, we want to go out a little bit, but if I snap it to this next one, that's way too far. So I want to kind of go right in between that. So I'm just going to snap it to vertical, let my finger go and just bring it out of that just a tiny little bit. And then you can click your line button again if you need to adjust it. I might make it a little shorter. And yeah, make sure the corner lines up nicely. But this one we can adjust the angle because we didn't use a certain angle. But yeah, just slightly like out of vertical. So maybe about like this is good. Now I'm going to bring it back in at that same angle that we had before. So I'm going to start on the corner here, drag it down to the symmetry line, hold it down, touch your finger on the screen till it hits that same angle. Now like one lower than vertical. And they can cross in the center. That's fine. We're going to fill this all in. But again, make sure that our corners meet up nicely without adjusting the angle of your line. So it should look something like this. Go ahead and fill it in. Okay, that looks great to get us started. It's a little high up. We're probably going to end up dragging it lower. Mine is anyway, because we still need to make the lip and then all the strawberries inside. So that's okay though. We'll do that in a minute. Let's go ahead and keep on going. I'm going to make the lip across the top. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, add a new layer. Click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. and I'm going to grab my second color on the second row now. So same brush and same idea. We're going to use Symmetry to help us. I'm going to start on my Symmetry line just a little bit lower than the top of this because we're going to cover this up. So just right about here, I'm going to start, draw outwards again, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen, find that same angle, and we're going to extend a little bit off the side here, like so. Again, click the line button to bring the middles together a little bit better, but don't change the angle. Make sure we're covering up that little bit of our last piece. Okay, pen tool again, I'm going to do a vertical side now, perfectly vertical. So start on this corner, go straight up, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, find that vertical angle. Click the line button to move it around if you need to meet up there nicely, just a short little line there. And then we're going to go ahead and bring it to the center. So I'm going to start there again, back to the center, hold it down, touch my finger to the screen, find that same angle. They can cross in the center because we're going to fill it in, but make sure the corner looks nice and fill that whole piece in. Okay, now we're going to make the back piece. So I'm going to go to my layer menu and I'm going to add a new layer and drag it to the very bottom of my layers so far. Click on it and turn on Drawing Assist. And this is going to be like the back side that our strawberries will be on top of. So our strawberries will be on top of our backside and then below these front pieces. So again, I'm on my new layer, Drawing Assist is on. I'm going to grab my darker color, fourth one on the second row. And I am going to start right at that same corner, draw straight to the Symmetry line, hold it down until it turns nice and straight. Touch your finger on the screen, find that same angle. So the same one that we've been doing this whole time. One up from horizontal, meet in the middle there nicely. Adjust your line if you need to. Mine overcrossed a smidge. If you move it and you have like any sticking out here, you can go ahead and get rid of that. And then we're going to just bring it back to the center. It's underneath this other one, so it doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go ahead and just draw, hold it down, make sure we have a nice line there that meets in the center, and then fill that all in. So that's all filled in like so. Okay, while we're here, we're going to make like the little lip across the top. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, click on this layer, and turn on Alpha Lock this time. So this means we're only drawing within this shape. Drawing Assist is still turned on. I'm going to switch to my lightest blue color, the third one on the second row. And I'm going to just draw essentially from the corner to like highlight this top edge. So I'm going to draw to the center, hold it down until it turns nice and smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly that same angle. And then you can click this line button to move it around. But yeah, so like we don't want to see like a dark edge, but we just want it to hit right on that top edge all the way across so that we get like a nice kind of highlighted area there, like so. We did that for the back. We're going to do it for the front lip as well, this one here. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu, go back to my top layer with this little V shape on it and click on it and turn on Alpha Lock. Drawing Assist is on. Same thing. I'm going to start on the corner here, bring it to the center, hold it down, touch your finger on the screen to find that same angle. Click the line button to move it. So I'm just going to move it down to where we get right to the edge where we don't see any of our base color. We just see this right across the edge all the way to the corner. So then it looks like this when we're done. We have that little kind of highlighted edge to make it look a little bit more 3D. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and finish the bottom part. So the bottom part here is going to have some cutouts like the little baskets do for the water to drain through. So I'm going to make those. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu. I'm going to go back to my first layer here in the middle with my big piece on it. Drawing Assist is on. And I'm actually going to use my eraser this time. So I'm going to grab my eraser tool. I also have that set to the monoline brush. Same thing, I have it set to 30%. And Symmetry is still on, so we only have to do the right side. So I'm going to kind of try to cut this in half first. So I'm going to go like halfway between the Symmetry line and the edge here, right about here. And I'm going to erase like an oval shape. Hold that down until it turns nice and smooth. Click this Edit Ellipse button at the top if you need to adjust it to make it like skinnier or anything. I want it to be like mostly vertical, but you can just kind of eyeball it there. And then again, place it here so it's kind of in the center between the Symmetry and the edge. So something about like this, I went maybe like a third of the way up on my package here or on my box. Then I'm going to grab my eraser tool and just erase everything inside that. Like so. Then I'm just going to do that 2 more times, 1 more time on each side. So I'm going to start to the right of it, do that again. Make sure you get ellipse and not arc at the top. So if it ever says arc, you can click on it and see if it gives you the ellipse option. Otherwise, you might need to redraw it and make it just like a little bit more like an oval. But that just really gets us the shape that we want. But again, I'm just going to adjust this, make sure it's like mostly vertical and about the same size as the other one. And the height can get a little bit higher because our angle is going this way. So the top of this one might be a little higher than our middle one. That's okay. Erase everything inside. Okay. Same thing, one more on the left side now. So same thing, a nice ellipse, hold it down. Click the edit button at the top. This one should be a little bit lower, but still skinny, same width, same like size. And try to kind of space them nicely as best as you can. Then you erase everything in the center there. Awesome. So that gives us like our cutouts so that we can see what's going on behind them. We could have obviously just like drawn in white over this, but then we wouldn't see what's going on underneath it. So we wanted to actually erase it. Okay. Okay, so now we need to make this bottom look like there are, pieces there that are holding the strawberries in. Otherwise, they would just fall out of the bottom as it is now. So what we're going to do is go to our layer menu. We're going to add a new layer and just drag it to the very bottom of all of our layers. Click on this layer, turn on Drawing Assist so we can use Symmetry. Then I'm going to grab my 5th color on the 2nd row, same monoline brush at 30%. And the first thing we're going to do is just kind of connect this back side here. So we're essentially going to start at the corner first, the very, very corner, not this next one in, but the very corner. And we're going to draw across all the way to the other side, or to the center line at least. Hold it down until it turns nice and straight. Touch your finger on the screen and find that same angle. So this is horizontal. We're going to go 1 up from horizontal. Make sure you meet across the middle there. And I have like a little piece sticking out on the left side here. That's fine. We'll erase that in a second. But now I want this whole kind of top part filled in. So I'm going to start on the corner again, kind of work my way around to the center area here, to the middle line, touching that line that we just drew so that we make a shape that we can fill in on the side like so. Now I'm just going to grab my eraser and erase everything outside of that. So that's nice and clean there. Okay, now for the next ones, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to do both sides though. So I'm going to start on the next corner of this like next little section here, this little line at the bottom. Start on the left side of it, draw to the center, all the way across actually the center to the next like piece so that we run into that. Hold it down until it turns nice and straight. Touch your finger on the screen to make it perfect, to set that same angle, like so. Next corner, I'm going to start, do the same thing, hold it down all the way across to the other piece, set that same angle. And again, we'll erase everything on the bottom here. Next one, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen all the way into the next area over here. Next one, hold it down, touch your finger to the screen. So now we have this like crisscross pattern forming on the bottom. So that looks good. I'm going to go ahead and just move that line there a little bit, but good enough. So now we want to fill in all these little open spaces, but we need to connect these shapes on the side here. So right here where we started, I'm going to just connect that across the bottom, connect that across the bottom. Again, it's messy on the outside. We'll fix that in a second. Now we want to fill in all the spaces that we need to. So I'm going to drag and drop until like this one here I know will be filled in. And then click continue filling at the top so that we can just tap into the next ones. But essentially we just want to follow this line all the way down. So like this one will be filled in, this one will be filled in, this one will be filled in. That's that whole line all the way down. This one will be filled in, this one will be filled in, this one will be filled in. If you need to use your brush at all, if they get too small, go ahead and just use your brush. But now it should look something like this. And now we're going to do our erasing on the edge. So I'm going to grab my eraser tool, also set to the monoline brush. And I'm going to start just right on my symmetry line. And I'm going to erase this way. Hold it down until it turns nice and straight. Touch your finger on the screen and you can find that same angle even. And you can click this line button at the top to move it around. So find that same angle where it just kind of cuts everything right off at the bottom there. Use your eraser to clean up anything else that maybe is sticking out that you don't want to. but then it should look something like this when we're done. And we'll throw some strawberries and stuff in the bottom there so it won't look so like funny if yours looks funny at all. That's okay. We'll kind of fill in a lot of this area anyway. But we just kind of wanted to establish that at the bottom there. So I know that was kind of complicated. If it's easier for you, you can just fill in the whole bottom. You can just draw a line like from this corner to this corner and then fill in everything in the middle. That's totally fine. Just fill in the whole shape. Not a big deal, but I think this looks nice. So do that if you can. Okay, while we're here, I realized I messed up this piece here. This is supposed to be the same dark color. So I'm going to go back to that layer on my layer menu. It's the one right above the one that we're on with just this diamond on it. And I'm going to drag and drop the same color here, the fifth one on the second row, into the middle and hopefully not mess up my edge. So this edge color should stay the same all the way across. If yours does mess up the edge, like it colors it darker like this where there's like a break here now, you just need to decrease your threshold. So go to fill in again, hold it down on your screen, and then slide to the left on that threshold at the top until it goes away and it's just filling in that middle area. If you might need to do it a couple times, you might need to undo it again and then re-drag and lower your threshold again. But yeah, just make sure that you're not covering up that line at all or recoloring it. But we just want that middle area darker. I messed that up last time. Okay, so that is good. Let's go ahead and just keep on going. We're going to keep adding to finish up our box here. So it just needs some highlights and shadows on the edges. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'm going to go to my next layer up with my little cutouts on it, my main layer here. Click on it and turn on alpha lock. Click on it and turn off drawing assist. So alpha lock should be on, drawing assist off. And the base color we used for that was the first one in the second row. So I have 2 lighter and 2 darker colors here that we're going to use. I am going to grab the fourth one on the second row to start, a slightly darker color. And we're going to switch our brush this time to the soft brush under the airbrushing category. My opacity for the brush is at 100%. My size will start at maybe like 8 or so. And this is our first kind of shadow color. So I'm going to start and do like under the rim a little bit. So I'm going to bring that out a good amount because we're going to use another darker color there. So under the whole rim a good bit like so. Then we're going to say the light's coming from the right side. So I'm going to do a little bit more shadow on the left. So I'm going to bring it down kind of towards the bottom here. And you can do the bottom of the whole thing, but it's going to get like a little higher on the left side there. Like so. Kind of meeting back up with our little under piece here. But then yeah, a little bit on the right side is fine towards the bottom. Okay, color palette, let's grab our next color, fifth one on the second row. I might lower my size a little bit to like 5%. And this is a darker shadow color, so I'm going to go under the little edge again. Just a little bit to kind of make that shadow deeper all the way across. And then again, maybe a little bit more on the left side towards the bottom to make it a little bit darker there. But nothing too crazy. This is the same color as our inner color, so I don't want to do anything super crazy like that where we then lose what's going on in there. So just maybe the teeniest little bit down there. Let's go ahead and add some highlights now. So I'm going to go to my second color on the second row. I'll probably go back up to like 8% or so. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of go through the middle here where we haven't kind of touched yet. A little bit like bigger on the right side. So kind of like something like this. Then I'm going to go to my lightest color, third one on the second row, back down to like 5. And just kind of maybe touch that right side a little bit more in the center there just to make it a little bit brighter. That's all we're doing. So then we just need one more layer to kind of make this whole left side look a lot darker to make it look more 3D again. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, add a new layer above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. This time we're going to click the N and set the layer style to multiply. I'm going to grab my last color on the second row, 7th in line, and my monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. And I'm going to start essentially draw a vertical line, and then we're going to fill in this whole left side. So I'm going to draw a vertical line right across through the center, hold it down until it turns nice and smooth, touch your finger on the screen to make it perfectly vertical. Click the edit line button, and we just want to move it, so don't change the angle. But if we just drag outside and move it, I want the right side of my line to line up exactly on the symmetry line there. So the entire left side is being hit, not centered where we're touching some of the right side, but just right to the left of that line. Then we want to fill in this whole side, so I'm just going to go around like this to make a shape that we can fill in there. And that's a little too dark. I'm just going to go to my layer menu, click the M on this layer, and drag the opacity down a little bit. We just want a slight variation in color, so maybe down to like 50% or so. And if it starts blending in with this stuff down here, that's okay. We'll add some strawberries and maybe even some shadows in there. That's not a big deal, but we want this side to be darker for sure. Okay, next up, let's go ahead and add some stuff to this rim piece now. So on my layer menu, I'm going to go back to that layer at the top. Alpha Lock's already turned on. I'm going to click on it and turn off Drawing Assist. And then we're going to grab so the second color was the base color for it, the second color in the second row. So I'm going to go to the first color in the second row, back to my soft brush under the airbrushing category at like 3 to 5%. And with this slightly darker color, I'm going to go towards the bottom. So I'm just going to do like the bottom half or so to add a little bit of a shadow there. And that's really all we're doing, just to add some variation. We're going to do the same thing though and make the left side darker. So I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'm going to add a layer above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Click the N and set it to multiply again. Back to that same color, the seventh one on the second row. And back to our monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. Same thing, I'm going to make a vertical line through the center. Hold it down, touch your finger to the screen, make sure it just lines up right on the left of that line. And then go around the whole left side to fill that in. And that gets way too dark. So I'm going to come to my layer menu, click the M on this layer to open up my options here and drag the opacity down quite a bit to maybe like 30 to 40%. Something like that looks good. Okay, so that is it for that part of my basket. Let's go back to our bottommost layer here with our grid pattern on the bottom and click on it and turn on Alpha Lock and then click on it and turn Drawing Assist off. And we can do some recoloring down here as well. So I'm going to grab my darkest color, the sixth one on the second row, and back to my soft brush at like 5%. And I'll just go through and add some of this in certain areas too, just kind of here and there to add some more dimension to it. And that'll really help too if your color started blending in on this left side. So do that if you need to. We'll leave this middle part alone. It'll be mostly covered in strawberries. That being said, that's it for our basket. So I'm going to go ahead and move it down a little bit, mine anyway. So I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'm going to group all these together. So I'm going to select one, slide right on all the others, and hit group. And now I'm going to click on this group, grab it with my arrow tool, and I can drag it just straight down, keeping it on my line there as best as I can. With like some clipping masks, my selection goes out here, so we don't want to center it, but just keep that middle line where our angle changes right on the symmetry line as best as you can. It doesn't have to be perfect, but I'll move it down a bit so I have more room for my strawberries. So do that if you need to. If you want to resize the whole thing on uniform, you can resize it. So do whatever works for you. I'm going to leave it there. And we are going to sketch our strawberries. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu. Our strawberries are going to be built above our bottom 2 layers and below our top 4 layers. So I'm going to add a layer right above my layer 3 here, which is my diamond. That's where we'll sketch. I'm going to use the same color that I'm on, the 6th one on the second row, and I'm going to switch my brush to my favorite sketching pencil, which is the 6B pencil under the sketching category. And we're just going to go ahead and sketch them first just so we know kind of where they are. So, and then we're going to like layer them. They're all going to be on their own layer so that we can highlight and shadow them separately. So I'm just going to maybe start like on the left side here and just kind of start and make my first strawberry. So they're all going to be kind of like a teardrop type shape, kind of flatter on the top and then like round on the bottom. I'm behind this other layer, so I can't see the bottom of it, but this is going to be like the top here. So just kind of a little like teardrop strawberry shape. So something like that for my first one. Maybe I'll go next to it here and kind of like start another one. Like the tops are always going to be like towards the top of our picture. None of them are going to be like upside down. So again, this is the top here. So there. Then maybe I'll put one like a little lower down where we just see the top coming up. Something like that. Maybe I'll do another kind of angled one here. Trying to kind of overlap a lot of them so that we fill in a lot of this empty space. We don't want a ton of that showing, so I'll kind of like overlap some of them. This one will be behind this other one. That's maybe a little big. So just really roughly sketching where they're going to be. Okay, I'll maybe do another one kind of angled coming out on this side to fill that in. Just kind of touching them up as I go. Some of these got like a little, my right ones I feel like are a little bit bigger, so I'm going to kind of adjust the size of these first ones a little bit more to match. But very, very sketchy. Maybe I'll do one more kind of coming off the back side here that is mostly covered up, but like this will be the top of it somewhere in there. And then it kind of is going to just go below everything. So you can make all the lines if you want to, because we're going to draw the whole shape. So I'm just going to kind of like lightly make the rest of the lines for that one and this one so that we see them. But then we'll decide which ones are in front and stuff. So we'll kind of layer them appropriately. But maybe something like that. You can add as many or as few as you would like. You can grab the whole layer. You can move it up or down or, you know, change the size of it if you want. I'm going to move mine up a little bit just so they take up a little bit more room. Then I'll just kind of bring some of these down some more. So just kind of something like that. I think that's cute. If we want to, we can establish where their little leaves are going to be. So I'm going to do this one here is just going to be like right on the top. Some of them just might be like behind. So this one's going to be on the top and the front. This one though, maybe I'll do like behind. So I'll just do like a little kind of half oval at the top here. That's where the leaf will be, but it'll be cut off by the top of the strawberry. This one here, we'll do the front. So the whole thing. This one here, maybe we'll do the front. This one, maybe we'll just do the back where we just see part of it. And then this one, we'll do the front. So mostly the front. But again, that's just kind of to help us see where those are going to be. Depending like how they're facing. So touch up your sketch at all anymore if you need to. Okay, and then we'll start just drawing our pieces. So again, we'll fill in stuff down here. We're not going to like draw them or sketch them, but we'll get a lot of strawberries down here as well. So let's just draw our main ones though. I'm going to go to my layer menu. I'm going to go to this layer with my sketch on it, click the N, drag the opacity down a little bit to maybe like 50%. And then I'm going to add a layer right below it. So right above my diamond layer again. And this is where we'll start drawing them. We're going to draw them one by one on separate layers so that we can highlight and shadow them separately, but it won't get too crazy. So on my layer menu, I'm going to grab my first color on the bottom row and switch back to my monoline brush. So same monoline brush, 30%. I'm going to start with the ones in the back. So this one's definitely in the back here. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of follow the shape of it roughly, fill it in, smooth it out anywhere that we need to, especially the parts that we'll see. This part down here is going to be covered up, but we can definitely still fix it a little bit. Again, trying to fill in as much of our like teal background space as we can, but we can leave some of it. That's okay. But so something like that for that one. Layer menu, add a new layer, and then I'm going to grab this. I'm going to do this next one here that's behind a lot of stuff. Fill that in. Again, touch it up, smooth it out. Okay. As we go, now I'm going to start turning some of them off. So I'm going to turn those other two off, add a new layer, but we know we did those back too. I'm going to do this middle one next. So this is going to be above both of those, but I just don't want there, since we're using the same color for everything, I didn't want there to be, I wanted to be able to see my edges nice and clean. I'll fill that in. Touch it up with your pen or your eraser if you need to. Okay. Layer menu, I'll turn that one off, add a new layer. Next up, I'll do this right side one. Fill in. Smooth it out, touch it up. And then layer menu, turn that one off, add a new one. I'll do this left side one next, just because this front one's going to be in the front of everything, this middle one. Fill that in, looks good. Layer menu, turn that off, add a new layer, and we will do this guy. Fill it in. Touch that up if you need to. Since we can't see the bottom of it, I just want to make sure the edges look right. Okay, so that's all my strawberries. So if I turn them all on, we just get this big red blob, but we'll leave the sketch on for now so that we can kind of see where their edges are. But now I'm going to go one by one and add quick shadows and highlights, and that'll help distinguish them from each other. So I'm going to start on the bottom. I'm going to click on it and turn on alpha lock. If you ever need to see which one you're on, you can either turn it off and on the layer menu, or you can just like grab it with your arrow tool and it'll kind of highlight it there. So we're on this one here. So that one's selected. I have alpha lock on. I'm going to grab my, let's start with my darker colors. I'm going to grab my fourth one on the bottom row, and I'm going to go to my soft brush again at like 3 to 5%. And we're first just going to do shadows. So with our sketch, it's a little helpful, but once we start drawing, we'll see kind of where the next edge is. You can see there, it like kind of highlights the edge of the ones that are on top of it. So I'm just going to go lightly and do that, work that shadow in just very, very lightly. And then across the bottom too, since that's going to be a lot in shadow, I'm going to kind of fill in a lot of that bottom area as well. Layer menu, next layer, click on it and turn on alpha lock, grab it with your arrow tool so you can see where it is. I think it's this other side here. And same thing, I'm just going to kind of start next to my other strawberries to see. Those will cast a shadow towards the bottom, towards the side, something like that. Layer menu, next layer, turn on alpha lock. It's my middle one here. It's going to cast by a shadow by this one and maybe a little bit by this one on the right, or what yours might look totally different. So just cast the shadow from the other strawberries and then maybe towards the bottom of it a little bit as well. But I kind of want it to like stick out from this other one. I don't want those to blend together. So I'll just kind of do the one shadow there. Layer menu, next layer, turn on alpha lock. That's my right side guy. So he'll get a shadow from the packaging, or the, just kind of along the bottom or right side there. Next layer, turn on alpha lock, hit the side again, and next layer is our middle one, alpha lock, and I'll just hit the bottom there. So now if we turn off our sketch, we should be able to see them more individually like this. But we can still leave our sketch on because we're going to use that for our flower placement as well. I might lower the opacity on it a little bit more. Okay, let's go ahead and add our greenery now and our seeds, and then we'll kind of come through and finish the strawberries, because some will need a little bit more shadow. They'll all need highlights. So let's just go ahead and do our greenery layer. So I'm going to have 2 greenery layers is all. I'm going to add one below all of my strawberries, and I'm going to grab my first green color, 6th one on the bottom row, and my monoline brush again. I'm going to do any of the ones that are in the back. So these ones are in the back here. So I'm going to just kind of do a few little quick flowery pieces, fill that in. A few little like this, fill that in. So those are my ones that are in the back. Then we have the ones that are all on top. So I'm going to go to my layer menu and add a new layer above all of my strawberries. And I'm going to go ahead and finish those. So then we kind of see the whole thing. So there's maybe like 5 petals, like so. They might also be like kind of flatter. So I'm kind of drawing them like a little squished. But pretty quick, pretty simple. Something like that. So then we have all of our flowery pieces, or our greenery. So we have those just on 2 layers to help keep things a little bit more simple. Now we're going to do our seeds, and those are going to be clipped to each one. So we're going to end up with quite a few layers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're probably going to end up with like 22 or so. If you need to save some layers, you can snap some together. You can snap our multiply layers up here to our base layer. So multiply to the base, multiply to the base. That's totally fine. You can snap these bottom 2 layers together as well if you would like to. Our little gritty piece and then the piece behind our top strawberries, you can do that. So that'll help save a layer as well. So if you need to save some layers, go ahead and do that. But this should be about it for our layers until we get to the background and we can maybe do some more snapping. So shouldn't be too many more. But each one now I'm going to add a clipping mask to it. So this is my backmost one again. I'm going to click on that new layer above it that I added and set it to a clipping mask. And now we're going to do our seed. So our seed color, let's grab our first yellow color, 9th one on the bottom row. We're going to switch our brush to the Studio Pen under the inking category. Find that. I have my opacity 100 size at like 15 to 20. It'll kind of vary, whatever works for you. So do what works for you. I'm simply going to draw some quick seeds. So I'm going to start and just kind of push like this to make some quick seeds, always starting like from the top and following the direction of the strawberry. So that's my ones on that one. We'll add some shadow to them as well, but that's our start. Next layer, or next strawberry, add a layer above it, click on it and set it to a clipping mask. Again, turn this off and on or something if you need to figure out which one you're on. But we're on our clipping mask here, same color, but again, I'm changing my angle now to angle it this way and just kind of filling in some quick seeds. Again, change the size of your pen if you need to. And I draw some even like behind our other ones just to show that they're there. So something like that. Okay, next layer, clipping mask. That's my middle guy. I was just kind of like staggering them, like up a little, down a little, up a little, down a little, but nice and big and fun. Next layer, clipping mask. That's this guy over here. Something like that. Next layer, clipping mask. And last layer, clipping mask. Okay. Now we have all of our seeds. They look kind of funny though because they don't have any shadow to them and everything else has like shadows. So we're going to add some shadows to them. I'm going to go just one by one. So I'm going to go back to my layer menu, this one that I'm on that I just made, the front one. I'm going to click on that and set it to alpha lock. Switch to my last color on the last row and switch back to my soft brush at like 3 to 5%. And I'm just going to kind of essentially follow the shadows that I already made. So I'm just going to kind of follow the shadow on my strawberry and it'll just touch some of the seeds there and add a little shadow to them. Next seed layer, alpha lock. It's this one over here. I'm going to do the same thing. So I'll just follow these ones where the shadow is. Next layer, alpha lock. That is the one on the right, I believe. Follow the shadows there. Next layer, alpha lock. That's this guy here. So again, I'll just kind of follow the shadows that are being cast from the other strawberries. Next layer down, alpha lock. That's this guy. Okay, and our last seed layer, alpha lock for this one in the back. Hit those in shadow where they need to be. Okay, that's it for our seeds. So lastly, we just need the highlights on the strawberries. We need to finish off the greenery. Let's just do the greenery next. So I'm going to go to my top greenery layer, click on it and turn on alpha lock. So that's all my like kind of front facing ones. We're going to add a little shadow in the center. So I'm going to grab my darker green color, the 7th one on the bottom row. Same soft brush. I might lower my size even more to like 2 or 3%. And I'm just going to kind of hit the center of them really quick with this darker color. So just kind of hit the center, lower your size a little if you need to. whatever works there. Just like a little oval or a little circle. Then we'll grab our highlight color, the 8th one on the bottom row, and we'll just kind of go around some of the edges of the leaves, just briefly, just to add a little bit more dimension to them. Okay. Oh, I missed this one. Okay. Then our back leaves, same thing. I'm just going to go find that layer, turn on alpha lock, and we're just going to have a highlight on them. So I'm just going to highlight the tops of them that we can see like so. So that's it for those. Now we can go ahead and turn off our sketch entirely or delete it if you would like to, and we can kind of better see how everything is looking. So just a last few steps here for our strawberries. We're going to add a shadow under the flowery part if we need to, and then some highlights. So I'm just going to go back one by one, and let's just do our shadows first. So I'm going to go back to my shadow color, 4th one on the bottom row. Same brush at like 2 or 3% is good. And then I'm just going to go through each one. So I just want to find the ones where the flowers are on top. So this one is not. This next one is not. So then this one is. So I'm on that strawberry layer here with my darker color. I'm just going to kind of go around the little flowery piece. Next layer, flowery piece. Next layer there. And our last layer there. Okay, looks great. Now onto our highlights. I'm just going to go one by one. I'm already on my top strawberry, the one in the very front. And I have 2 highlight colors I'm going to use. I'm going to grab my second one on the bottom row first. And we'll just kind of touch like, again, the light's coming from like the top right. And I just touch like the top side. This highlight can go kind of just like all the way through the middle. Might even increase the size a little to like 4 or 5%. But yeah, all the way through this like other area that we haven't touched yet. And then I'm going to grab the lightest color, 3rd one on the bottom row, and just kind of pick a little spot to kind of add a little highlight, probably towards the right side. So something like that, a little kind of blobby. Not touching the edge, but like next to the edge. So I'm not going all the way out here, just like in a little bit to add like a little bit of an extra highlight, something like that. Okay, I'm just going to go next layer by layer. So now I have this one. I'm going to go back to my second lightest color. And again, hit like the right side or anything that we haven't really touched yet. Kind of add some good color in there. Then I'm going to switch to my lightest one and add a big highlight like that. Okay, next layer. Back to my other color, my first lighter color. Again, kind of just hitting what we haven't hit yet, coming from the right side primarily. Then our lightest color, add in a few. Adjust your size as you need to. Something like that. Okay, next one. Back to my other color. Hit the side. Through the middle a little bit. And then our lightest color. Add a quick shine. Next layer. Back to my other color. This one's kind of just like, yeah, like all this top area here. And then a quick highlight with my lightest color. Maybe there. And then my backmost one is my last one. I'm going to go back to my lighter color, the second lighter color, and hit that top side, and then maybe just the smallest little highlight with my 3rd color on the bottom row. Maybe just the smallest little highlight on that one because it's kind of in the background there. So once that's done, that is what our strawberry should look like. Nice and fun, lots of different colors. We got our greenery and our seeds in place, so that looks awesome. Now we're going to draw a couple down here, and I'm just going to go ahead and add a layer right above my bottom layer that has both of my back pieces on it, or just if yours are separate, just go above that diamond layer again, but we should be below all of our other strawberries and stuff. If you are running out of layers again, go ahead and you can snap all your seeds to your strawberries now if you're happy with them and you don't want to make any changes to their base colors. But again, new layer right above my backmost layer here, and I'm going to grab my 5th color on the bottom row and my monoline brush under the calligraphy tab. And we are just going to make some quick strawberry shapes. So I'm just going to literally just like kind of go here, make a little oval, fill it in, make a little oval, fill it in, make a little oval, fill it in, something like that. Just to kind of Make sure it's all connecting before you fill it in. Just to kind of fill out that bottom area a little bit and show that there's more down there than just nothing. So this is kind of our bottom strawberry color, the ones down here. Okay, that looks good. If you want to even add some like here, you could, if you could fill in some of this area to show that there's like more stacked. If you have a lot of the teal area up here, you could add some there too. But so that's it for our strawberries and our basket. So now we just need to finish off the background. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to, again, go to my layer menu. I'm just going to minimize this group. Everything's in it. Add a new layer, drag it below our group. First, let's switch our background color. So I'm going to click on this background color layer and select the first color on the first row to set it to that color. Layer menu, I'm on my new layer above my background color. I'm going to click the N on this layer and set it to multiply. We're going to first make our shadow underneath our basket. So I'm going to grab my second color on the top row, switch back to my soft brush, and I'll start at maybe 8% or so. And I'm going to kind of go across the bottom here around this like whole area, fill in all the stuff below our strawberries too, and just kind of cast a shadow to the right and left side. The light's coming from the right side, so maybe a little bit more on the left if you want. Kind of stretch that out a little, show a little shadow like behind it. So we're kind of just recreating that like diamond shape a little bit, like so. Then we want it a little bit darker, closer to our basket. So I'm going to go to my third color on the top row, change my size down to maybe 5%. And I'm just going to go a little bit closer and all the way under it. So go all the way under it first, and then kind of just near the edges a little bit, like so. So something like that, kind of loosely like blending it out a little bit. Okay, that looks pretty good. I like that. If you feel like yours is a little choppy and you want it to be a little blurrier, you can go to your wand icon, click Gaussian blur, drag this up a little bit to maybe like 5 to 10%, somewhere in there, and you can just kind of see how that looks. You can go back and forth between them, see if you like that a little bit better. Then we just need to finish off the rest of our background. So layer menu, add a new layer, drag the new layer below our multiply layer that we just created. So we're right above our background color again. And now we have this really light pink color and a darker pink color to kind of add some more dimension to our flat pink background color. So let's grab our fourth color on the top row, same soft brush. I'm going to go up to like 20% or 20 to 30%. I'm going to start in the center and just kind of work out in like a circular motion until you start seeing it get a little bit lighter around our strawberries. We're underneath that multiply layer though, so it shouldn't affect that. So something like that to kind of brighten that middle area up. Then we'll grab our last color on the top row, fifth in line, and hit the edges. So I'm zoomed out a bit so I can kind of go around the edges in like a circular motion to kind of darken those up a little bit. Like so, very, very lightly to kind of blend it all together. Again, if you want to blend it some more, you can do your Gaussian blur again. But I think this looks good. And then lastly, we're just going to add a little bit more fun to it. So I'm going to go to my layer menu, add a new layer above the one that we're on now. Click on the N on this layer and set it to overlay. Grab our lightest pink color, fourth one on the top row, same brush. I'm going to go back down to maybe like 5 to 10%. And just kind of go around the edges and add like a few little kind of highlights to the sky and just kind of like around our basket and stuff, just for some more kind of just fun detail. You could do just like some little circles in the background as well, just to kind of fill it out so it doesn't look so plain. So something like that just to kind of brighten it up. And then once that's done, I'm going to go ahead and just go to my gear icon, turn off my drawing guide so that line's gone. So then that is it for our drawing today. So I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you like the way that yours turned out. I hope that you maybe learned something new. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet so that you don't miss out on any future tutorials from me. Feel free to leave a comment down below to let me know your thoughts or let me know anything you'd like to see in the future. The likes and comments really help out my channel, so I really appreciate it. And then I would love to see how yours turn out. So if you want to, you can go ahead and post it on Instagram and tag me there so that I can check it out. And while you're there, go ahead and give me a follow so that you can see what I'm working on next. Thanks for watching.